Hey, it's August 12th, 2023, Saturday. I'm sitting here with one of my main men, Riley. Riley, how are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous though.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Now, remember, come up a little just so we could hear it. But yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Riley's my guy. I had since a freshman when he went to Baylor High School, private school at Chattanooga. He is currently going into his junior year at Harvard playing football. He's like a son to me. He comes up, lives with me a lot. We have great times. We have bad times. We experience all types of times. So, Riley, how the hell are you, brother?
I'm doing better.
Yeah.
I'm doing better than I have been. This summer's been, probably one of the best summers I've ever had. I'm in a much better place than I was.
Yeah.
So, going into next season, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. I'm going to try and make the switch to wide receiver. I think that is probably for the best. So.
Yeah. I mean, the kid's a freak athlete. So, I mean, he's one of the Harrison Smiths in here that I had since high school. So I got to ask you the same question I asked everybody that comes on the platform is, when did you know that you were different?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think there was like a moment or a story in particular where I was like, oh.
You're super fast. You jump high. I mean, you're built like a brick shit house. You got all the tools. So when did you know you were different?
I mean, I guess just growing up, I was always just a little bit faster. I could, jump higher, do whatever, more than other kids. I guess that's the point where I was like, oh, maybe, I played all types of sports. I played basically every single one growing up, and I always did pretty well. So I just, but I don't like to think that, I'm necessarily different. I think it's good to keep a good mindset of like, I'm not this crazy athlete. You kind of need to stay like within yourself and know your own boundaries. And so,
I mean, do you have boundaries? Because you're a pretty freaky athlete.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if we've hit them yet. Of the stuff I put you on the turf or jumping over boxes and running, and I don't think we've seen them yet. I think it's been untapped of what you're going to be able to do this year at Harvard for sure.
Yeah.
With your, your mind state.
Yeah.
So how did you select Harvard out of being a kid from Chattanooga? I know you UTs and all the stuff growing up here. How did you get to Harvard?
Yeah, so I had a few different offers, and I never would have dreamed of going to Harvard. I mean, I'm not a genius or anything like that. And so when I started talking to some of the Ivy League schools, Harvard was the first one to offer me. And, I was, and I wouldn't say my parents, they didn't really pressure me. And they let me handle the whole recruiting process. They were, very supportive of wherever I wanted to go. And so, but I really liked the coach that recruited me. Yeah. Gets by. But, I just thought it'd be a great opportunity, even after football's over. I mean, hopefully it'll, make good connections and help, get a job or something in the future. So I thought it might, set me up for further down the line. And, I kind of regretted it once I got up there, but it's gotten better. This past year was a little bit better, and I'm, like I said, I'm excited about this next year. So, it's been definitely tough going up to Boston, being from Tennessee, and being a lot different than most people up there. But just kind of try and stay true to myself and do my own thing, and make the most of it. Kind of describe it as there's three groups to go to Harvard. There's the insanely rich, the insanely smart, and then there's the athletes. And athletes usually are the only ones that are like normal and that come from like a normal background that can you can hold a conversation with. The other people are just so kind of out of touch. But yeah, it's just a very weird environment. Pretty small school, and athletics are not a big thing up there. A lot of people look down on athletes because they see us as like, oh, I didn't get a perfect score on my ACT or this. Like, you just got in because you play sports. I'm like, well, yeah, but still here, I guess. But so it's just, very interesting group of people for sure.
So you got 2 more years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you want to play professional football?
I would like to. There was a period where I didn't, I kind of got burned out a little bit. So I was like, my problem is I just get so nervous before games. It's just like, I'm just so shaky. So I was like, man, I don't know if I can just keep doing this. Like, I can't eat before games, like stuff like that. So, but I've kind of, I think switching to a different position will definitely kind of like reignite that passion for football. And, I think, like I said, I'm excited about this next season. I think it'll be good. But yeah, I'd love to play professional for that. I mean, but it's a lot more difficult coming out of the Ivy League just because you're not playing Big Ten, SEC schools. Like, you're not getting as many looks as you can. And at DB, there's 0 looks. So, I mean, switching to a different position would be my best opportunity.
That makes a lot of sense when you hit on the nervous, because I feel that with Riley a lot. I feel like anxious around you, like you give that off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where does that come from? What is that?
I don't know. I think it's just like trying to be at the best, maybe. Like, I was always so scared, like in my mind, instead of like picturing myself like making a big play, it'd always be like me screwing up and letting my team down. So I'm always like thinking about, oh, this is what, like, I'm gonna screw this up, or I'm gonna do this or do that wrong. So I've talked to like a sports psychologist about it, and that did help, and I have gotten better about that the past couple of years, but especially in high school, like, I was just a wreck before games. Like, I was just a head case, still am a head case, but yeah, that, but yeah, but it's gotten better, I'd say.
Oh yeah, it's gotten better. It's just the energy, which energy is real. We've debunked that. We've tested that. We've, had people say it's not. And usually people go, I don't believe in energy, give off the worst energy. I find that a lot. So
yeah.
It's a real thing. And I think that's what I'd want to work with you the rest of the summer, maybe the fall, of understanding the energy and embracing that, and being disciplined with allowing the right energy to come through and what you allow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
I think that'll help you be more relaxed, especially with the work you've put in the Woodgym this year, from the virtuals we did to come in here every day. Yes, to have a nervous state before a game is a good thing, to feel the nerves, but use the nerves as positive energy. You know what I'm saying? And use the nerves as like sit in the present. I find even our last guest that was on, Claire, it's most people don't sit in the present as much. They're always looking for the future or always looking backwards. And Claire's more the future. And then you have people that are always in the past, and nobody stays in that present. So they never give that time to themselves to really embrace the present because they've already moved on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because, I mean, I've tried to focus on that a lot more because, last couple of years it was a rough relationship, and I couldn't really focus on myself. I couldn't really think about myself because I was always giving to another person. And so now that I'm not in that relationship anymore, like this summer, I would just be able to enjoy, like, be in the moment, like enjoy the simple things, like, just like watching the sunset, like on the dock with my family. Like, I can just sit there and be like, man, this is, like, soak it in and enjoy it. So, I think, I need to translate that to football, because in the games, like, I'd be so nervous. So what I'd do is, like, to counteract that, I'd be like looking forward to the party afterwards and just thinking about that instead of thinking about the game. Like, if I can make it through the game, I can be at the party, and I can, not have to be worried about what's going on right now. So I kind of like think about things in the future to kind of get my mind off what's happening now, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, almost not. I know pressure is a privilege, and we hear all those things, but not putting pressure on something like that, not making it a big deal, but it's a big deal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like the Mark Mason book or Manson book of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F, is
right.
Like, you do, but you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really stressed about how the outcome of the game would be, then you wouldn't be in your full present self at that time, at that moment. I find most people don't stay right in the moment. They're thinking about the worry of the next hour. You should back it out to, like, right now, because that worry is going to be there whether you're there or not. Does that make sense? I know it's biblical too, of like, don't give the worries and turn it over. I think it's in Matthew, but it's still the same thing of you did all the work, especially this year. You should have a incredible year. And then it's kind of weird how you have to balance that. Is like, I'm going to have a really good year. I'm going to put myself on the map across the country, but then I'm not going to think about it that much. I'm not going to put my hone everything in on that. I'm going to develop my social life. I'm going to develop my spiritual well-being. I'm going to develop my eating habits, my better rest and sleep, and pick and choose people wisely to be in my circle for this next year. I think that would all come and bring a nice, I would say, peace and calm to you. And I think that's what you need to take away from this summer of me being around you, is finding more peace, working on peace and calm, and whatever that looks like. Maybe it's diving into oneself a little bit more, which I think you do a great job, but like really concentrating on that peace instead of that chaos,
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually took a class at Harvard called Happiness, and it was a philosophy class, and they just went through a bunch of different philosophers and their ideas of how to achieve happiness. And I can't remember the guy's name exactly, but the thing that really stuck out to me and that I've kind of tried to carry with me is that the thought of like, don't worry about things you can't control. And it's like they said something like 99% of the stuff you worry about is stuff that's out of your control. And so if you cut that out of your life, you're going to be a lot more just happier in general, because you're not constantly worrying about what other people are doing, what other people think about you. Because if you constantly worry about that, then you're not going to truly be yourself and not going to be able to enjoy yourself.
And wow, that's nice. A class like that's cool, because control, Griff and I talked about that earlier today, is control's an illusion, and then trying to control other people is also where I think I get in a rut with, of why doesn't this person want to raise up and be the best version of themselves, whether it's healthy, spiritually, day in, day out stuff. And I just never got, I can't understand. It mind boggles me, because you're not that guy. I mean, you drive 2 hours a day from Chattanooga to come up and train. So you're not the average. So I don't understand why people don't want to take control of their lives and be the best version of themselves, no matter what that is. And it really tears me apart when I think about it.
Yeah, I think people just get content with themselves and think they're, good, but no one's ever really perfect. You need to keep working on yourself, and you can't help somebody if they don't want to help themselves.
Yeah. So the control issue with you would be, what would you take away from this summer? You went overseas, you had an internship at Nashville. You had a spring season, and you had a new coach, and he graded you out, basically average and getting by doing bare minimum, but he had no clue that you did virtual training with me every day in the student weight room. What would you worry about and not worry about, or more better words of concentrate on to not concentrate on, and give this over to God, or not even worry about this? What would those things be in going towards the fall?
That's a good question. I guess just what I've concentrated more or focused more on this summer moving forward is just keeping those good relationships close, like family and friends, and just like keeping the good people around you and cutting out the bad people is what I've tried to focus more on. Because if you have a good group of people around you, then they're going to lift you up instead of just the opposite and tear you down. So I've tried to concentrate on that more, and just, like I said, to be in the moment, enjoy myself, and just have a good time. And then to focus less on, like I said, what other people are doing and what I can't control. And, if I get up there and, wide receiver doesn't work or something, like whatever happens, just to not worry about it. Because, God has a plan, and whatever happens is going to happen. Everything happens for a reason. So either way, I think everything's going to be all right. It's all going to work itself out, and it'll be fine either way.
We just talked about Clara goals. Did you set goals for the fall? If you're, make the transition to wide receiver, did you go, okay, I want to this many touchdowns, this many yards, or look at the receivers that were on the depth chart last year and played, and look at their numbers and go, okay, I want to exceed all the wide receivers' numbers. Did you go through that yet to start?
No, I haven't set like specific goals like that, but like something I do and do is be like all Ivy, all American, something like that. Just to kind of have like a benchmark of like where I am, like to have that, like, yes, I was able to do that. So, but nothing like specific, like this is how many yards, how many touchdowns, catches, or anything like that. But just kind of like those bigger goals, something that I've done.
And socially, you got some good friends up there?
I do. I have a really good group of friends, and they're probably the only reason why I stayed up there. And I live with them now, which has been a lot better this past year. I lived with them. great group of guys. I mean, they've been in the Woodgym and they puked their guts out.
Oh yeah, I remember that big group. You had tons of
yeah,
them.
it was fun.
You took a truck full here.
Yeah, I was like
plyos and everything else,
I
going
made sure
up
he
everywhere.
gave him the hardest one because I was like just rip them apart. But yeah, so I got a good group up there.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I don't.
No girlfriend. This
It's
kid's
a sore
guy's,
subject.
you know, this is gonna be on YouTube, so he's a good-looking guy. He's got a lot to offer. We'll do it 1-800 number hotline to call Riley.
What's the Instagram handle?
Yeah, what is that? Buns of Steel, Riley. Yeah. So the ladies, no lady in your life right now.
No lady in my life right now, and that's for the best.
Yeah.
You know, I've kind of just taken some time off to just enjoy myself and work on myself.
Do you have a type?
I think you know my type.
We're going in dangerous waters right now.
We are going to, yeah.
Yeah. This is a tequila podcast
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, a type. I mean, you've gone through a couple, I'm sure, and then you learn. I mean, we know this. Griff and I and Ben talk about this. Everybody comes through your life for a reason. They have chapters in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You learn from it. So you learn of, I guess, really when you have breakups and you're not seeing that person anymore, you learn of what you don't want.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
More than what you do want.
No, exactly. And I, you know, as hard as that relationship was on me, as you know, I mean, I was just a wreck it was about a year and a half. I was just, you know, not in a good place at all. But I mean, even so, I don't regret it all because it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about moving forward to future relationships and what to look out for. And so, I mean, yeah, it was a very good learning experience. I think it, you know, helped me, you know, become a stronger person and, you know, rely more on my faith and other people around me because, you know, sometimes I have a hard time asking for help and reaching out. So it's definitely helped me with that aspect.
I think relationships expose weaknesses and strengths. And I think instead of looking at the strengths, I think you need to look at your weaknesses more. And I think you need to address those and bring the weaknesses up of like what I could have done better. Setting boundaries, you know, like for yourself and improving, you know, your self-esteem. And like we all said, if you're with a person that's not raising you up, why are you with them? You know, and vice versa, you know, iron sharpens iron. It's biblical. It's like you got to have a person that's on the same journey that you want to be, or it really, if it starts off hard, it usually finishes hard and stays hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I had a problem with was setting boundaries and sticking to them. I mean, I was in that relationship, I was, you know, pretty weak, and I, you know.
Do you feel like it affected your football career?
No, it affected every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean.
For the better or worse?
Worse.
Right. So
I mean, grades dropped, football wasn't as focused on because I was always thinking about
weight
her.
dropped.
Weight dropped. I wasn't getting any sleep.
Friends dropped?
Friends dropped because everybody in my life did not like her. And so, yeah, it's never a good sign, right? So.
And then somehow we're still with these people.
Yeah, and because, I mean, whenever I got up there, I was miserable. You know, I was so, like, 16 hours away from home.
Right.
You know, I didn't fit in. And so, you know, I found this person. I attached myself to this person, and I gave everything to this person. And so, you know, I was in love with her. And you know, once you get feelings like that, it's hard to get rid of them. So, constantly being, but since my family and friends did not like her, I was constantly caught in the middle of it. And so she would give me hell for them, you know, putting pressure on me. And then they would give me hell for, you know, it was just a mess. So I was just constantly stuck in this battle between both sides and trying to make both sides happy, but it was impossible. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to go out with my friends. Like I wouldn't, you know, my, you know, relationships with everybody dropped off.
So did you find, you know, because I've been around you a while and I've gone through this with you, and did you find that you lost yourself? Do you find that like you became dishonest, a liar, not telling the truth to friends and family and to be with this person? So you compromised your integrity to be with this person. And then we still can't see that we've done that, and then we're still with that person. So then you're not living your true self, that God gave you your true self. You actually went backwards and became a worse version of yourself. So then you live in that shame of, I don't like who I am. I don't like lying to my family, my friends. I don't like sneaking to see this person. I mean, you could go on and on of like the negative parts of that compared to a positive part. And then once you dismantle that relationship and actually like break it down like an engine, you're seeing that there weren't any positives in it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there weren't any positives in it.
No. I mean, the only positive was that I did love her and I did care for her. And, I saw somebody that I could help and that I could fix and I could be there for.
But is that love? Like, is that love of like you're helping, you're caring, you're fixing. Okay. Now love is reciprocal also. So what is she doing on your side? Like, make sure you get your rest. Hey, I brought you an extra banana today, and let me stretch you before your practice, and get your head on right. And hey, I don't want to come over tonight because you got to have the playbook and stuff. I want you to be the best version of yourself, and I'm thinking about you.
Yeah, it was never like that. It was the opposite. It was me making sure that she was getting her meals. She was eating every day. I called her every day before work to make sure she was up and ready for work. I mean, she did all this stuff. I was like, I'll help you with school. Just stay with me because, I can make sure that you're doing all right and I can keep an eye on you and kind of get you away from all that other stuff. And that didn't last long at all, maybe.
And you're doing this at how old?
19.
Yeah.
19.
And going through school.
Going through school, going through football, right. 6 a.m. workouts.
So the last thing you're doing is concentrating on yourself.
Right. Yeah, I didn't concentrate on myself at all. And when you're in it, you don't really see it.
Chest is getting tight.
Yeah. When you're in it, you don't really see it because I guess, relationships aren't always 50-50. Sometimes you give more, sometimes you give less. But it seems like I was always giving more and I wasn't receiving as much as I was giving. And so, when we were going through that, it was like, I did lose myself and I didn't have any confidence. I didn't feel good about myself. But now looking back, I see that and I realize that that's not the person I want to be. That's not how I want to go moving forward with other people in my life because it doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah, you actually like hurt people along the way because they watch you hurting. Your close, your family and your friends and whoever else, and then you become isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I saw with you with the last year and a half. And football wasn't a priority, school wasn't a priority because that took over your whole life. You became a different person.
I did.
Yeah, you lost yourself for someone else that wasn't willing to lose themselves for you.
Yeah, and it happens a lot, especially nowadays. I think that's even more so. People really only care about themselves, and that's no way to go. It's a
very selfish world right now.
It is. It's extremely selfish.
It's bad.
It's sad. Everything that's going on right now is just. It's really.
People are their own gods. Nobody has God anymore in their life. They don't start a relationship with 3 people.
Yeah,
it's always 2 people, and they forget God's the third one and the most important one. So they become their own gods. They create their own morals and values, and they don't hold themselves accountable to anything. And if anybody does, you're the bad guy, and they run away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically how a relationship works now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people they can't take criticism, so they always just come after you. And, I didn't really realize what gaslighting was, but that's a real thing where they just spin it on you and turn it on you. And then make you feel bad about yourself when you're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
But kind of like what you're saying, people, especially like at Harvard, like it's crazy. Like being a Christian and having faith, something being important in my life, like people just look at that so much differently than they used to. Like if you're a Christian, you're a radical now. Like people don't understand like, oh, that's like, what are you doing? Like all this stuff. So being up at school has really made me at Harvard has made me people before I got up there were like, don't let them change you. Don't everybody up there. So it's made me stronger and rely more on my values and what I've grown up with and what I know to be good and to be right.
Yeah.
So it's, pushed me further to me being, this is what's important. This is what I need to be doing in my life. And I need to rely more on Christ and less about what else is happening and what else is, so if you have a strong relationship with God, then, I think everything will fall into place and it'll be fine.
Yeah, and you had to go through a relationship like that to even lean on God more. I mean, nobody goes to God when everything's going great. You go through it in the darkest hour, and that's why it's called peaks and valleys. And when you're in those valleys, you better sit in them and learn, because that's where you learn. You never learn on a peak. Nobody ever learns on a win. Athletes never learn when they go 4 for 4. Helton would tell me all the time, I learned more about my swing when I went 0 for 4 instead of 4 for 4.
Right.
Every time.
Yeah.
So that's the analogy to it, but I think you're in a great place now. I think you're getting there. I think you're getting there, and I think the training this summer has been amazing. I think you're going to do great things at Harvard this year, and I love you, and the Woodgym loves you, and you're like family to us. So it's going to be exciting. And you and I have gone through hell and high water the last 4 or 5 years, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I remember sitting on the couch last summer. It took this joker 3 hours to eat a pub sub from Publix, just going through so much. The pain, the hurts, but pain to pleasure. You know what I'm saying? It's all goes back to training. Is even my man Ben here, one of the producers on the podcast, he's starting to squat more. Well, it hurts more, but man, it feels good when you're done with it and you grew more. And so anything you stress grows, and that's what life is. And stress is a part of life, and I know we all have different stressors out there. There's people that think certain things are very stressful to where we laugh at it and go, I got a stress plate. Look at my plate. Like, look how much I have to handle through the day compared to other people. So I think you're doing great. I think you're doing really good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm moving into a new chapter in my life. And
are you 21?
I am 21.
Oh, that's right.
It's the best age. Best age to be.
You can buy cigarettes.
Yeah, I can. It's crazy they changed that.
I know it.
Yeah.
That's bananas. Some Marlboro Reds.
Yeah, I got some cowboy killers over here.
Cowboy killers. Well, man, I appreciate it. I'm so glad you came on, and I think you're right there. You know what I'm saying? You're right there, and I know we probably got one more week, and then you're off to Harvard, and I got to get up and watch a game. Come to Boston.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Boston, park the car.
Yeah, Harvard.
The Harvard, the Townies. Those
right.
Townies. You got to watch for the Townies. All right, brother. I love you, and happy
too.
Saturday, and what a hell of a week we had, and one more week. Let's go get it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See you, buddy.